Hey guys, welcome to week 2 of Esther, and we're talking about Esther and asking the question of what if. And this is the first week of our little experiment. So hopefully you're with your small group, and it's going to be a great time tonight. We just want to give you a quick piece of content, I suppose, so that you have something to discuss with your groups. Of course, as we're talking about the book of Esther, last week we said, what if God actually does have a plan for your life? And what if he is intricately involved? And how do we deal with that? And so, we talked about how God isn't even mentioned in the book of Esther. Doesn't the word God, Yahweh, any of those things, not mentioned. But of course, we know some of the things that are going on. So the question is have you ever tried to impress somebody? Maybe you did something special to. The thing that comes to my mind is Chris Farley in Tommy Boy, and there's some girls in the pool as they're doing some things, and you guys see the weight room, and all that kind of thing. Puffs himself up and says, "Oh, it looks like." Anyway, oftentimes we can do certain things to make ourselves look more impressive when we want to impress people. I still remember the story goes that as as I was trying to figure out whether or not I kind of liked who is now my wife, she actually had to make the first move type of thing. I thought she was cool, all that kind of stuff, and what she did is she invited me over to watch Star Wars. I'm pretty sure she doesn't like Star Wars near as much as me, but she did that, and what was so interesting is yeah, she says, "Can you come over and help me understand Star Wars?" That's what she said. "Yeah, help me understand Star Wars." And I'm like, "Yeah, because that's awesome. And if she likes Star Wars, that's even cooler." So we go through this process of where it kind of became this thing, and I tried to I'd go into the details, or I'd go into this means this, and Emperor Palpatine is this guy, and all that kind of stuff. Emperor Palpatine's awesome. I don't care if he's Darth Lord. Anyway, the point is that I did everything I could to try and make to be impressive to her, and we can do that. We can try to be more sometimes than we are in order to impress people around us. Getting back to the story that we're talking about, we come to this place. Esther's gone through the harem, which is what it's called, and she's selected by the king to be the next queen. And so now she's the queen. She's the second in command. Things are looking up for her. And this guy, Haman, comes along. And he's close to Esther's husband, the king, and he's a little stuck up. And according to the king's decree, the king's officials now have to bow down before Haman when he passes by because of some things that Haman does. And soon, Haman is told by this guy named Mordecai, who of course we know is Esther's uncle and the person who raised her, and he's refusing to bow down. And of course, a power-hungry guy like Haman, this is a big deal. And he finds out also that Mordecai is a Jew, who the Jews were supposed to be sent back to Jerusalem and to Israel. So this frustrates him even more because Haman's line of his heritage has this significant problem with Jews. They're just very bigoted towards them and hates them. And so I don't know if you've ever had someone not listen to you when you were in charge. Maybe it was I'm an oldest sibling, and so whenever okay, we're going to clean the house, and so this section is me, and the rest of it is you. Right? And of course, Nick didn't listen to me when I did that because why would you? But maybe you had an older sibling and they told you, you have to do this thing just because. And of course, it's just very frustrating when you don't know why and when it's not positive for you. If you were the younger sibling and your older siblings were like, "You're doing this because you're the little kid," that can be really difficult. It can be difficult now in life, right? You've got a boss who gives you an instruction, and then you come back and say, "I don't know if I can even do that the way you want to do it," and they don't listen to you. They just don't listen to you at all. It can be a very, very frustrating. So back to the story. Because Haman hates the Jews, right? He convinces the king to sign a piece of paper that says, in X number of days, all of the foreign Jews will be eradicated. We're just going to wipe them out. They're not supposed to be here. And so the king likes Haman. He respects him, so he just says, yeah, sure, whatever. And so he authorizes this genocide. It's about to happen. Now, I don't know about you. People make me mad sometimes. They cut me off on a road. They send me text messages, and they don't. I'm frustrated by them or whatever because the tone doesn't come through. But I don't ever say all dumb drivers should die. Maybe they should, but I don't ever say that. I don't say just because cats are the spawn of Satan that they all should die. I would be okay with that. But none of those things, just because they get said, happen. In this case, they actually do. So this announcement goes out that soon all the Jews will be killed, and it's passed around, and Mordecai hears about it, and then he sends word to Esther. And so we pick up the story in Esther chapter 4, 7 through 15. Mordecai told him the whole story, including the exact amount of money Haman had promised to pay into the royal treasury for the destruction of the Jews. Mordecai gave Hathach a copy of the decree issued in Susa that called for the death of all Jews. He asked Hathach to show it to Esther and explain the situation to her. He also asked Hathach to direct her to go to the king to beg for mercy and plead for her people. So Hathach returned to Esther with Mordecai's message. Then Esther told Hathach to go back and relay his message to Mordecai. All the king's officials and even the people in the provinces know that anyone who appears before the king in his inner court, without being invited, is doomed to die unless the king holds out his gold scepter. And the king has not called for me to come to him for 30 days. So Hathach gave Esther's message to Mordecai. So Mordecai, here we get the back and forth, right? Mordecai sent this reply to Esther. Don't think for a moment that because you're in the palace, you will escape when all other Jews are killed. If you keep quiet at this time, deliverance and relief for the Jews will arise from some other place. But you and your relatives will die. Who knows if perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this. Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. You may want to grapple that. That's one of those famous. There's one of those things to come back to in verse 14. Who knows if perhaps you were made queen for just at such a time as this. And Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. Go and gather together all the Jews of Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will do the same. And then, though it is against the law, I will go in to see the king. If I must die, I must die. So Mordecai went away and did everything as Esther ordered him. Now, Esther knows if she's in trouble, if she troubles the king and approaches without his permission, she's done, right? She also knows that if she doesn't take this risk, everybody will die. All her people will die. And this is huge, right? Because we face some of these things. We don't face life or death sometimes, although sometimes we do. But we face difficult decisions. We face difficult decisions that we have to make about our jobs, our future, our ministry, our money, whatever money we have. We have to face different decisions on how we, go about things. How do we lead? How do we serve other people? We have very difficult decisions, and I love that Mordecai says, what if you were here? What if you were put here to save us? He doesn't say what if you're here put by God to save us, but he does say, what if this is what you're supposed to be made for? What if you're in this spot because this is you're God's saving grace? And the same thing could be true for you, right? What if you're in the place that you're at? What if you're in the situation you're at? What if you've been made the way that you are for the specific season that you're in, for the specific situation that God's going to present to you? I think of the way that we've made some changes in 242, and you've been a part of 242. You've been through a certain type of structure, and now you're going to be a part of a different structure, or maybe I should go that way. We're going to experience different things. We're shaking up small groups. You're with people that maybe you don't always connect with. It's kind of new for everybody. But the beginning of every relationship, the beginning of every situation is usually awkward, right? It's usually awkward. It's usually difficult because we don't know each other near as well, and we don't have the relational experience with each other that we did with people that we're connected with or people that we've been with for a long time. This is why starting relationships can always be awkward. Why in dating relationships you have to define the relationship. The same thing is true here. We have to make difficult decisions. We have to make those decisions. And the fact of the matter is that as we make decisions to commit to relationship and make decisions to commit to long-term relationship, the fact of the matter is that we kind of have to press in. We have to decide to do that. And then we also have to accept the fact that perhaps the situation that we're in right now, the place that we find ourselves right now, we have been led there and we have been equipped to be in that situation. I mean, who knows what is supposed to be a part of this next season? I told you, as we take the land, as we go to the next side, as we cross the Jordan and move to the other side, there's a lot of things that we don't know. Part of that is how these relationships are going to work. So I want to challenge us a little bit tonight, just to press into that tonight. As you're in your small groups for the first time, as you're in these situations for the first time, what is that going to look like? Perhaps that's a growing piece that needs to continue to happen in all of us. So for what it is, think about that tonight. And maybe there's a question here of what do you need to do in order to own the fact that you're in this small group that you're in now, and own the season that you're in, and own the situation you find yourself in at work, in relationships, in different situations. And what is it that you can do to make those situations and leverage those situations for? What I think is completely fascinating about this story is what happens here, and how Esther has to prepare herself. This is a huge decision. This is a huge process. This is a massive risk that she's about to take. And she says to Mordecai, "Don't eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will do the same." And she pretty much decides in this moment that she's going to do this, and it's going to be worth it. I wonder if that's the same thing for us. In the difficult situations that we face in life right now, I wonder what it is that we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to be, A, preparing, and B, how we're supposed to press in and maybe make the most of the situation we're in. It can be very easy in difficult situations, in awkward situations, in stressful situations, to just say, you know what, it's not worth it. Esther has no idea what's on the other side of this decision. She has no idea what the king's going to do. But in this moment, she says, the risk is worth it for the people that I love. And while we don't know what's on the other side of the decisions that we're going to make, there are a lot of things that we don't know that we do need to decide to go for. We're going to see next week a little bit more of the story. And if you've read the book of Esther, you know what the rest of the story looks like. But in order for the rest of the story to happen, Esther has to decide that she's in the spot she's in, and she's in the position that she's in because it's for this time. And she has to decide to go through with the risk in order to get to the other side so that the rest of the story can happen. I wonder what the rest of your story is. And I wonder what's in the season that you're in right now that's tensious, that's awkward, that's a big decision, that's going to change the direction of your life or other people's lives. And I wonder what's stopping you from doing those things. And I wonder what's on the other side of making the decision to go for it. So I hope tonight you can have a couple discussions. The first one is, what season are you in? And this is a great way to start our small groups. Where do you find yourself right now? Where are you at with Jesus? Where are you at in life? So what season are you in? The second one is what's your new land? Maybe you're in a season where there's some decisions you do need to make. And what are those things that are coming your way that we as a small group, you as a small group, can kind of develop and work around? And the last part is this: what's stopping you? What's the risk from going into the new land? What's the risk of making the decision that's the bigger decision? And how can you, what can you eliminate? What can you control? And what are the things that are on the other side that maybe don't feel so natural or easy, that it might be difficult? Have a conversation about those. And don't forget, this Sunday, we're heading to Ivanhoe's. And Chase is driving the van because she really, really wants to. And we're going to Ivanhoe's. We're meeting here at 6 o'clock to head out. So hopefully you can be there and get some strawberry shortcake, because that's what my favorite thing in Ivanhoe's is. And hopefully we see you there. The second thing is that next week on Thursday, we're going to head down to the street fair. We're just going to pass out water bottles and have conversations with the carnies. So hopefully you can be a part of that. We're going to meet down there at 7 o'clock. Get there early, grab some food, because there's a lot of great food. I recommend the divine wings, and the steak tips and mushrooms. So maybe you need to get 2 dinners, whatever, be a hobbit. It's fine. Yeah. So thanks for being a part of tonight's conversation. I hope your small group goes really well, and we'll see you next week. There will be a video of content for next week. So if you guys want to meet at a different time or watch the video individually and do that, that's great. But otherwise, we'll see you next week. Love you guys. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.